8:31, the chair determines a quorum is present and the PRB meeting will come to order. Ms. Rendon, will you please take attendance of the board?
Chair Stephanie Leiby.
Here.
Keith Brainerd.
Here.
Marsha Besh.
Here.
Rosie Farina Strauss. Here. Ernest Richards.
Present.
Sherry Shivers. Here.
First item on the agenda is related to administrative matters and its approval of the minutes from the October 17th, 2019 board meeting. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to suspend the reading of the minutes.
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second that.
Motion has been made by Ms. Dash and seconded by Mr. Richards. Is there any discussion from the board or corrections of the minutes as circulated?
Madam Chair, I have two suggested amendments to the minutes, please.
Okay.
First, I think the minutes should reflect that you left the dais at some point.
Yes.
You indicated that that would be before item 5, Actuarial Committee.
Yes.
And secondly, on item 5.2, near the end, with the paragraph beginning, Mr. Brainerd stated that members of the Actuarial Committee expressed concern. The second to the final sentence in that paragraph, which is which ends at the upper page, at the upper end of page 5, contains the term "too high," and I'd like to propose striking the words "too high" and simply replace that with the word "aggressive." So that would say, stated that current investment return assumptions are aggressive. And that would be my proposed amendment to the minutes, please.
Madam Chair, I also have one suggestion.
Okay.
Further down on page 5, under D, I believe there should be a comma. In the paragraph stating, Ms. Dush noted that 85% of the plans that have already submitted an FSRP, comma, were now subject to submitting an FSRP or were at risk. So it's just missing a comma there.
Okay, perfect.
That's it.
Okay. So it's just circulated as corrected. Okay. At this time, we have a motion to suspend the meeting of the minutes, and we'll vote to approve the minutes as corrected. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is to excuse those members absent from the board meeting on October 17th. The chair entertains a motion to excuse Mr. Richards from the October 17th, 2019 board meeting.
So moved.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion's been made by Mr. Brainerd and seconded by Ms. Dash to excuse Mr. Richards from the October 17th, 2019 board meeting. Any board discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Richards is excused from the October 17th, 2019 board meeting. At this time, we'll recognize one of our outgoing board members, and that's Judge Cable. Judge Cable was not able to attend today's meeting, but staff has provided him with a plaque to recognize his service to the board. And at this time, I'll just read a resolution of the board honoring Judge Cable's service. Whereas the Texas Pension Review Board has been honored by the appointment of many distinguished citizens to serve terms among its membership. Whereas the Honorable Judge Andrew W. Cable of Wimberley, Texas, was appointed as a member of the Texas Pension Review Board by Governor Rick Perry on February 20th, 2009. And whereas in his years of service, Judge Cable ensured that the mandated duties of the board be carried out through his many contributions, including as chair of the Education and Research Committee since 2013. And whereas he led the agency through the development of the Texas Pension Review Board's minimum educational training program for public pension trustees and administrators. And whereas the members of the board believe that Judge Cable's loyal and outstanding service to the board, the public employees, and citizens of Texas deserve special recognitions. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Texas Pension Review Board hereby commends and expresses deepest gratitude and appreciation to Andrew W. Cable for his devoted service and exemplary leadership, and we wish him the very best for the future. Next item on the agenda is related to the Legislative Committee. And at this time, we're going to consider the approval of rules to be published relating to the Public Retirement System Investment Expense Reporting in the Texas Register for public comment. At this time, I call on Ashley Rendon and Mariah Miller to provide a summary of the proposed rules.
Good morning, members. So this item covers the investment expense reporting and our proposed new rules under a new Chapter 609 of our Administrative Code. So as a reminder, the board directed staff to develop rules based on the content as described at the October PRB meeting. So the result is what you see behind tab 2 of your packet. And we wanted to specifically point out a couple of things. So the first is an implementation schedule. That would be, and I apologize, it's split between 2 pages, 5 and 6. It's Chapter 609, 109. And so, since annual financial reports are due to the PRB according to the system's fiscal year and dates, we were kind of challenged to find a date that would work for us and for our systems. Our solution is what is provided under proposed Chapter 609, 109. And so, A just says that plans a system with 180 days or more remaining in the current fiscal year when the rules are made effective would be required to have the investment expense disclosures per this chapter in the annual financial report that covers that fiscal year. So if the rules are made effective by the end of February, we would expect to see those plans that end in August and on those reports, including this information. And then B is those systems that have fewer than 180 days remaining in that fiscal year. Once the rules are made effective, those plans will be required to have the disclosures in the next fiscal year reports. And so a brief overview of our system's fiscal year and dates. We found that there are generally 4 dates that are most common amongst our plans here in Texas. That's ending in June 30th, August 31st, September 30th, and December 31st. So with the implementation schedule as proposed, we would expect to receive the first annual financial reports with the required investment information as required by statute and these rules in March of 2021. So that would be kind of in the middle of next legislative session. And then the final disclosures we'd expect to receive in this first round by January of 2022. And that would be for fiscal year 2021. And so if there are no questions, the next thing we wanted to cover in these rules are that in the next, in 609, 111, that is our proposed structure for these expense reporting for this information, and they speak to an asset class categorization guide. So at the October meeting, staff provided a table with asset classes and examples. Staff plans to use that table as a starting point to create the guide and plans to bring it to the next board meeting in February for adoption. With this, I also wanted to point out in the rules, a board member requested that we include the example of include private debt under fixed income. We wrote that into the rules, but we feel that it would be better included in the asset class categorization guide since it's an example. And so we would propose to change these rules to take out including private debt. And so that's the majority of kind of the differences from the last board meeting. Everything else is based on the content of the last meeting. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
And members, just to quickly clarify, one other thing that we wanted to point out was that these rules, as proposed, would require systems to report information under Senate Bill 3, fee disclosure information under Senate Bill 322 in a supplemental schedule in the notes to the financial statements, essentially unaudited information to comply with the 322 requirement.
I was just curious. Do you have an idea how much it will cost to make this report, and how many additional hours will be required to prepare this report by the different organizations?
Given that the information is that we're not requiring it to be audited, that it'll be in a supplemental schedule. I'm not sure. We have reached out to plans and gotten their input on this, and from what it seems that they're comfortable having this information added into their financial report.
And just to add to that, thank you, Ashley. Based on some of the stakeholders, retirement systems we have talked to, they have indicated if the information is required to be reported unaudited, then it's probably not going to cost them. If anything, the cost should be minimal, as well as most of the systems are already reporting this information, and this is additional. Some of the additional requirements that this rule is proposing is unaudited. So they have indicated any cost associated with it is going to be minimal.
Thank you very much.
And so we're requesting approval at this time to post to the Texas Register. And that would begin the process once it's posted to the Texas. Once we submit it to the Texas Register, it would be included in the next issue, which would be in early December. And then the public will have time to comment for, I believe we have 35 days.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I think before we move into the motion, I'll just open the floor for public comment to the extent anyone in the audience wants to address the board on this agenda item. Feel free to do so at this time. Question?
Madam, yes, could I speak?
Sure.
Looking at this, I had an idea that I would like to propose as a recommendation. The use of a reporting template I thought might be useful to be developed by the staff to aid in reporting all this information in a specific line item every time as a supplemental schedule. If that would be something that would be helpful to the staff and to the pension plan administrators.
Sure, we can certainly work on that and provide that to the systems.
At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to authorize the executive director to publish the rules. I think after incorporating comments provided by staff for the one deletion, proposed in Texas Administrative Code Title 40, Part 17, Chapter 609, relating to public retirement system investment expense reporting, and the Texas Register for public comment, pending final approval by the Assistant Attorney General Counsel and the board chair. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Seconded. Mr.Richards.
Perfect. The motion has been made by Mr. Brainerd, seconded by Mr. Richards, to authorize the executive director to publish the rules after incorporating comments provided at this meeting proposed in the Texas Administrative Code Title 40, Part 17, Chapter 609, relating to public retirement system investment expense reporting, and the Texas Register for public comment, pending final approval by the Assistant Attorney General Counsel and board chair. Any additional board discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is the Pension Review Board's Rule Review, Texas Administrative Code Title 40, Part 17, Chapter 601, 603, 604, 605, and 607. At this time, I'll call on Ms. Rendon and Ms. Miller to provide a summary of the Rule Review.
Thank you. So for this item, behind tab 3, you'll find some documents that we prepared. We wanted to provide a brief summary of the proposed amendments and repeal staff is recommending from this rule review. First, page 1, you'll notice a notice of intention to review. This notifies the public that we're reviewing the entirety of our current rules per our rule review plan. We're planning to post this notice concurrently with our proposed amendments and repeal. And so for this, we are asking for board approval to post to the Texas Register.
Any questions? At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to authorize the executive director to file the proposed notice of intention to review PRB rules contained in Chapter 601, 603, 604, 605, and 607 of the Texas Administrative Code, Title 40, Part 17, for public comment publication in the Texas Register. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Seconded by Ernest Richards.
Motion is made by Ms. Dash, seconded by Mr. Richards, to authorize the executive director to file the proposed notice of intention for review for public comment publication in the Texas Register. Any additional board discussion? We have a motion to authorize the executive director to file the proposed notice of intention to review for public comment publication in the Texas Register. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The executive director is authorized to file the proposed notice of intention.
Thank you. On the next page, you'll find our next proposed notice, which contains our proposed amendments. So, on page 5, you'll find the actual amended rules. And the first 3, 601.1, 604.1, 605.3, those amendments provide updates to statutory references and make technical changes to those rules. For the next one, 607.140, that would be our most substantive amendment that we're proposing. Staff closely reviewed the minimum educational training administrative requirements, and here in a rule review, we found an opportunity to enhance the effectiveness of the training reporting, and we have recognized that system administrators have so much to report. And this amendment would lighten that load and change the reporting cycle from twice a year to once annually. The majority of trustees and administrators are in continuing education cycles, and those require 4 hours per every 2 years. And so the amendment would change the dates from March 1st and October 1st to September 1st for them to submit those training reports. And so that gives us time. We're required to include this information, the compliance information, in our biannual report to the legislature, which is due in November of even-numbered years. And so that would give us time to do that. And also we're intending these changes to be effective upon final adoption, and so that would mean that plans would not need to report that March 1st date, and just would be the next date after this October one that just passed would be September 1st. And so then on page 6, you'll find our notice for a repeal of 607.111. And so this would just repeal an expired rule concerning system trustees and administrators who were members or administrators when the program began. All of those members should be in the continuing education cycles, and so this would no longer apply. And so we are requesting board approval to post these proposed amendments to the Texas Register for public comment.
Okay, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion to authorize the executive director to file the notice of proposed rulemaking concerning the amendments to Chapter 601, 604, 605, and 607 of the Texas Administrative Code, Title 40, Part 17, for public comment publication in the Texas Register, pending final approval by the Assistant Attorney General Counsel, the Governor's Office, and Board Chair.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Mr. Richards, seconded by Mr. Brainerd, to authorize the executive director to file the notice of proposed rulemaking for public comment publication in the Texas Register, pending final approval by the Assistant Attorney General Counsel, the Governor's Office, and the Board Chair. Any board discussion? A motion has been made by Mr. Brainerd and seconded by made by Mr. Richards, seconded by Mr. Brainerd, to authorize the executive director to file the notice of proposed rulemaking for public comment publication in the Texas Register, pending final approval by the Assistant Attorney General Counsel, the Governor's Office, and the Board Chair. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The executive director is authorized to file the notice of proposed rulemaking for public comment publication in the Texas Register. Next on the agenda, we will turn it over to Anu for a report from the executive director.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to provide a quick update to the board on our current staff level, and I have good news and bad news. I wanted to introduce our newest team member, James King, who started with the agency 2 weeks ago. He joined us as an actuarial analyst. He's working towards attaining his ASA designation from the Society of Actuaries, and we are very excited to have him.
Welcome.
And the bad news is Joey Evans, who was with the agency for over a decade, had unfortunately abruptly leave the agency for personal reasons, so we are down another staff member. That's all I have.
Okay. At this time, I'll open it to the board for a call for future pension review board agenda items. If anyone has anything they'd like to see on the agenda for a future board meeting.
The one thing that I was going to suggest is that we take a look at some of the discount rates, hurdle rates that the pension funds have been using. Is it 7%? Is it 8%? And just kind of like to get a survey of what the funds have been using for their investments.
Okay. Okay, the next date, or the date for our next pension review board meeting is tentatively set for February 6th of 2020. And if there's any update to that meeting date, we'll be sure to let everyone know.
What time is it going to be? 8 o'clock or 10:30?
To be determined, but I've heard. At this time, we will open the meeting up for public comment. If there's anyone in the audience who'd like to address the board, you may do so at this time. Okay, if there's no further business and no objection, the chair will move to adjourn this meeting.